Today I'm in the single tiny house. I came out here, I was going to try and get some of the electrical done. It was partially ran during the service project, and I wanted to wrap it up so we could finish the drywall. I really want to get this situated because I have somebody that does stay in this. My older son does stay in this, and right now he is in the community space, and so I just would like to get this one I'll finish and get it back in here. But the electrical was a mess. I couldn't do it on my own. I called in backup, and so right now I'm going to take 2 steps back and punt, and I'm going to work on busting a hole in the wall to put the AC here. This might not be the best place to put the AC, but there was already a hole here from one of the previous tenants, and so I gotta fix the drywall anyway, so we're gonna use this general area. I've never really done this, and I hope to watch the guys do it the other day when they were here, but I was running around and couldn't, so I guess we're just gonna figure it out. Can't be that complicated, right? Here we go.
Okay, so here's the easy part of the project, right? Making the hole. But even this part I made complicated, trying to figure out where exactly to place the hole so I had the studs to go on. Now I'm outside and I start to cut the hole from the outside, follow the lines, but something was wrong with the blade to my saw. At first I just thought that it was the battery, so I had changed the battery, but this was a brand new blade that I had on that saw, but it was just bad. Either way, I got it done, I put the hole in. The part that you don't see though is that I stopped to think for a long time. There was many hours of just thinking, and I overthought how to frame it in, do something and undo it. That's kind of the way I get things done. I just doubted myself, but see, eventually I do get some studs placed in. Really no reason to overthink it. This is just a square hole or close to square hole. So I'm now moving on to patching it up with drywall. But what only looks like a couple seconds worth of time lapse for you actually ended up probably being about a whole day's worth of work. Just so much time spent thinking and rethinking. Here you can see me cutting that same little piece, that square, several times to get it to fit. But again, it gets done. We get the hole closed in, and all in all, it came out okay, so I'm pretty happy with it.
I'll tell you what, this drywall is not going to win any prizes, but I did it. I built the frame, I threw up some drywall, I used up the scraps that I have, and I'm going to call this good enough because I'm ready to move on to some more projects. I really have to get this whole thing done within the next 2 weeks, and so I'm just proud. I did it all by myself, framed it in. This is the first time I've ever done a project like this, so, you know, that's what filler and trim is for, right? So we'll figure it out. I am going to go ahead and finish the drywall, and I'm just going to put up a 2x4 outside, and then I'll waterproof it. The air conditioner's not coming in for another couple days, and then we'll dry fit it. So we haven't even done that yet. So hopefully everything works out all right, and I'm just going to start with the taping and mudding. So I'm ready to try and tape this up. This should be interesting. I haven't done any kind of mudding or taping in over 12 years, and I wasn't good at it then. And my lesson for today is that despite 100 YouTube videos and knowing how to do the right thing, having seen the technique dozens of times, just because you know how to do something doesn't mean you can do it well in practice. And so I'm just going to muddle through. Again, we're not working with the best beginning here. I'm just trying to get it done, so here we go.
The taping part actually went pretty easy, especially after I'd already pre-filled. Last time that I did this, I had used that yellow mesh tape, which I found to really be hard to work with, especially as I overwork it. The fibers and the strings of the tape start coming out. But this white tape was super easy to work with, and I think it turned out just fine.
Well, here's my first pass at it. It's not too bad. It went better than I thought. I tend to want to keep playing with it, but that's really bad because the mud starts drying up and it just makes an absolute mess. But also, there's parts of this that are shallower than the rest of the wall, so I just put a layer on there to just start building it up. Kind of bows in and out. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do about that. I'm not going to be too fussy. I just want to get it going, so I'm going to let this dry and go back to another project. Good morning. Good morning. It's pretty early. I'm sat here in the little tiny house, sort of contemplating my plans for the day, trying to work up some motivation. The drywall behind me on this hole for the AC, it actually came out really good. I'm pretty impressed, and the AC is meant to come in today, so I plan on doing the waterproofing and getting that put in, as well as hopefully a skim coat of the mud over this. And then I'll have to figure out what I'm going to do with the texture, but this is really moving along. I got somebody to come and look at the wiring situation. That's a little bit confusing as I look at how the last person did it, and he kind of couldn't figure it out either. And so the option is, well, he suggested I tear open some walls and trace the wires and kind of figure out what's going on. I really want to avoid that, especially after I just got all the walls in here fixed yesterday. I really don't want to put more holes in the wall, but it might come down to that. It was working before. I mean, it was working before, and so I'm gonna see if I can maybe just change my plans a little bit and work with what I have, and just make something happen to make this functional. I do not want to rewire this whole place, and I absolutely do not want to. I'm not tearing out all the walls. That is not going to happen. So we'll see. Maybe I'll get around to that this morning. I'm still feeling really groggy from the last 2 days of work, so we'll see. And I'm also pretty sore. One thing I realized is that I definitely should have, on the duplex, I should have done all the ceiling stuff first before my arms were just really killing me, but I didn't. And so that's got to be done too this morning. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. One thing that I would say, kind of a cool lesson from this weekend, is that I didn't really want to get started out here. I was just overwhelmed. Putting the hole in the wall, patching it all right, that's just not something that I'm good at or have really done before, and I was really overwhelmed at the prospect of doing it. But doing this little hole first and finally just doing it, just getting it done, gave me the confidence to go over and work on the tiny duplex. And while that drywall, again, is no prize, it's done enough, and I'm feeling a little bit more confident with my ability to mud and tape that, even if I have to skim coat the whole thing. I mean, we're gonna have walls, and I'm pretty excited about that. And so I'm happy that I tackled this little project. I'm happy it gave me the confidence to do the rest, and now it's just endurance and following through. It is Labor Day today, so I am having a little debate with myself about maybe, just going and taking a day to the lake. But I don't know, it's early and no one's up yet, and so I might as well at least try and get some of this stuff done. Like I said, another coat of mud and do a couple things, maybe putz around with the electrical before that happens. Then we'll see how much time I spend working and how much time I take off and enjoy this last day of the weekend. But that's enough talking. Let's get to work.
I ended up not spending too much time out here on that day. I did get a skim coat on, but that's about it. The rest of the time was spent over in the tiny duplex, which is in another video.
Good morning. I'm back here in the big tiny house, the single tiny house. I got the air conditioner in. I'm ready to dry fit it in the window, close up all the rest of that. The drywall patching I did over there looks pretty good, so I'm pretty excited about that. But first I need to look at this electrical, because before I bring the AC in or do any of that, I just want to make sure that I'm not going to have to do any more patching of the drywall. And the situation we have over here is that because of the funky way that this is wired, there is a really good chance I'm just going to have to open this up to trace it all out and figure out what they're doing in order for us to get power up here to a light. And so I have one more idea for a bypass on that.
All I'm doing here is I'm just reconnecting the wires that I had spliced. I'm just trying to run see if I can run a second wire back up to the light from the switch. But the hole that was there was too small, and then I found out there's no way I'm gonna get a second wire in there.
Well, I mean, that was already a bust. So the wire that is up there right now, which is not the right wire for switches, run through the door jamb. And so there's no way I can pull it out, pull it through. I can't slip another wire in there for the switch. Never mind, I still haven't solved the problem. And so I just decided I keep doing all this work, trying to make it the easy way, and as was with most things, you just need to do it I just need to do this the hard way.
Honestly, this was the only satisfying part of the day after so much frustration was making the hole in that wall and starting to crash some things. The next thing I'm doing is I'm just trying to pull some wire through, and I got it to go a little bit, but not enough.
So I just wanted to check in. I mean, this is like so typical of pretty much every project I take on, that I don't know if it's my lack of skill, or doing it by myself. I don't know what it is. Probably all of the above. But like, I just can't do something. I can't do what I need to do here. As I was trying to mess around with the wiring, I thought, you know what, it would have been easier if I would have just left the switch where it is on the wrong side of the door. Like, is that really the most horrible thing in the world, for the switch to be on the wrong side of the door? I don't think so. I actually think that would have been fine. But I am trying to, so I just said, well, we'll just rewire it correctly. We'll put the switch in on the right side. I've already cut the circuit where it was, moved it over. I was going to just put an outlet there, but now I can't even pull the wire to do that. And this is kind of what happens when you're trying to retrofit stuff and you don't have the right tools or experience. And so I kind of was like, well, I'm just going to tear the whole thing open, and I'll just, because it's a pointed ceiling, I'll just I'll put a piece of drywall this way, and we'll take off the point of it, and we'll just have a flat ceiling down the middle, which is actually fine, and I actually really like that idea. But just now, as I was thinking, well, if I'm gonna do all that work, I just thought, well, for that matter, if I rerun that, I probably can get in over here and put the switch on the right side. So, so since I'm already 10 feet deep into this hole, I'm just gonna keep on digging, because that's what I know how to do, and there'll just be more to fix later. Wish me luck.
So now I'm starting to make some holes in the ceiling so I can get that power from the switch back up to the light. And that was actually a pretty simple job. I wish I had thought of that from the beginning. And I'm just kind of superficially, I end up putting the wire on the underside of the ceiling for now. I'm just trying to get it into place while I figure out what I'm going to do next. And that actually worked out fine. It was a mess over there on the ceiling, but I am able to eventually fix that with drywall, so it was fine. After that, I just connect all the wires back up again, just to get everything working, just to test the whole circuit out and make it work. None of the wires in the boxes, but they all do work eventually.
So I've been out here working for a couple of hours, but I doubt any of that footage will ever see the light of day. And that's because I've just started over and over and over and over again trying to figure this out, trying to do it the easy way, then giving up and doing it the hard and long way. But the good news is that the electrical is successfully run. I have the switch that works for the overhead light. I have a switch wired up for the outside light. And so now it's just a matter of putting it all together. But the bigger problem is now I just have to figure out this mess that I've made with drywall.
Okay, I'm out the front side of the tiny house. It's kind of hard to see in the last video, but I was able to pull all the wires through. I'm just gonna throw one of the scrap pieces of siding up in there. Eventually there's gonna be just a giant piece of trim board that probably covers that whole triangle. And so I'm just gonna do the best I can. And then because this, where the wires come out, where the center is in the middle of these two beams, I'm not gonna be able to recess the box to hold all these wires. But that's fine. I'm just gonna put it superficial to the siding and probably even to the trim eventually, but I'm just trying to get all of this in place just so I can close it up on the inside. And so I'm gonna cut a piece of scrap and fill up the gap. Here I eventually did switch out the blade on that circular saw, which made all the difference in the world. I was able to cut that little piece a couple times, put a hole in it, and I got it to work. Well, all in all, that was the easiest project of the day. I know it's uneven, it's not screwed in well, but like I said, it really doesn't matter. I'm just gonna waterproof that. I'm gonna cover that entire top of that triangle up with a single solid board, do something decorative when it comes time for the trim. And on top of that will then go the electrical box and then the light. And so it's good. And now we can get back to working on the inside, see what parts of the drywall we can close in. It took me so long to figure out how I wanted to run this and get it all dry fit. It was a little nerve-wracking to actually take it apart to put it in the box, but obviously that had to be done. I took lots of pictures so I can put it back together the way I had it when I'm done with the drywall. And right here I'm just putting in some blocking so I can attach the drywall. I know that's not a great piece of drywall right there, but again, I'm just kind of using the scraps of what I have so I make it work. Here's the Christie fix. I just put a little piece of drywall in there and then I'll fill it up later. This is supposed to be the easy part right here, attaching the box to the stud, but I really struggled to get this box on, and I think it's just because it's probably I'm reusing that box. There was something wrong, the screw wouldn't go in there, so it took a minute. Finally got the easy part done, and then just slipping the wires in. Of course, that's easy, and that's all set up to go when I need to put the switch in. After literal days of messing with this project and trying to get it to work and figuring out the electrical, it was absolutely so satisfying to start cutting pieces of drywall and patch up that hole, close it in, and put an end to this project. This is it just is absolutely satisfying. I started to see the light at the end of the tunnel. I really didn't think I was going to be able to pull this off. I wasn't going to be able to fix this mess that I had created, but I just kept at it, and eventually I did. I had done such a mess of cutting these holes in the drywall. I didn't really plan it out, and so it just takes a little bit more work as I'm patching in these pieces and cutting the angles, and again working with the scraps of the drywall. Everything was just a little bit more difficult. But all in all, this part of the project really did come together faster than I thought it would. Well, this is where I'm leaving it for the night. I'm absolutely wiped. I've been out here since 9 a.m. I think it's, 7 p.m., something like that. This morning there was some holes that are patched up, and there are more holes than we started with. So I guess it feels like progress. Again, I'm not gonna win any awards for drywalling, and I'm okay with that. I keep kind of punting it down the road. When I was framing, I said, well, I'll figure it out with the drywall. While I'm drywalling, I'll say I'll figure it out with the trim. By the time I'm done with this place, it's gonna take me 3 years to trim out. But all I can do is all I can do. So maybe tomorrow we'll get to putting that AC in. I really wanna get it working. Okay, it's time to deal with this mess. So I'm gonna be pre-filling this morning, and then hopefully putting on the first bit of tape by this afternoon. This box of mud here is one that I actually bought when I was doing my kitchen remodel. When it came time to do the drywall portion of it, I kind of had a similar issue that I had made such a mess. There was the whole sheets of drywall to go up, but there was just some other holes that I had punched in the wall sort of all over as I was rerunning the electrical, and I just was overwhelmed and didn't know how to fix it. And so when it came time to drywalling, I actually ended up hiring somebody to do it. And I was very grateful because I really just needed to get my kitchen working again. I had been, I think, 6 months without a kitchen. And so it was very satisfying to have somebody come in and just have the room basically finished within a couple of days. But it's really nice now trying these things on my own and figuring out, that I can do it well enough, and I don't have to wait for somebody else or pay for somebody else to do it, but that I can get these things done on my own. And so going forward, I will be able to do that. Right here, I'm just pre-filling all the giant gaps that I had made before I come back in and do the tape. And there were quite a few big gaps that needed to be filled up.
So I got the air conditioner that I'm gonna put in the hole that we made for it. I just made the hole the same size as the other two that we put in the tiny duplex. There wasn't really any measurements on Amazon when I ordered the air conditioner, so I'm just assuming, since it was the smallest one they had, that it is the same size. But I'm gonna unbox it right now, and we're gonna give it a fit, and let's hope it works, because I can't make the hole any bigger. I actually couldn't have asked for a better fit. There's just the smallest gap around, which is perfect. We'll put some insulation in it. I am going to read the instructions, make sure I get it in there right. And I also need to go outside, and I want to put up a support board for it. I'll time lapse that part.
The camera died from the heat outside, but I did get the AC installed, and with that I switched over to the layer of tape that I needed to put on this drywall mess.
Well, I just finished the layer of tape on the wall. I can't finish the ceiling right now because I have no drywall. But I think this is a good stopping point for the weekend. I had to fill so many holes. I just want to make sure everything gets good and dry before I put on the next coat. I'm probably only going to show bits and pieces of me doing the mudding, just because I did so many things that I know are wrong. I just don't want to hear about it in the comments section. Ideally, if you're ideally you wouldn't have the size cracks I had, but if you did, you would set them with something quick, quick drying mud. That's not what I had. I have to make use of what I have. Pretty much everything that is here that I've been doing for these projects has been donated in some way, shape, or form. And so I am really appreciative for what I have, and I have to make what I have work. And so we just use regular mud. I'm gonna let it dry, and if we get cracks, we'll deal with them when we do the next coat. In the long run, this is pretty close to finish. I had the air working in here. The air is great. Cooled off the place in no time, kept it very cool. I can just even tell once I shut the door how quiet it is in here. So you know what? Very soon, this tiny home is going to be a place for somebody to stay, a safe and affordable place, and to have them be a part of a community, a family. And so in the grand scheme of things, a couple cracks in my drywall are not going to impact that and what I'm trying to do here. So all I can do is all I can do, and so I'm gonna keep on doing it. These tiny homes don't have to last for 100 years. 5, maybe 10 years. Maybe we'll be moved on to something bigger and better by then. So we are gonna make it work for now, and really the priority is just get it done. Get it done. I have something big going on in 6 days, And so I need this whole project done, everything moved back in here out of the community building. All of that stuff needs to be done in the next 6 days. So I'm gonna make sure that it gets done. I think that I will clean up in here because I'm done making the majority of the mess. What's to come is just gonna be mostly the powder from sanding. So I don't know, there might be a time lapse of that. We'll see, maybe not. But that's it, I'm done, and now I'm gonna wrap up this video because it's been long enough. In the end, I have rescued the mess that I made. If you remember, I just made a giant mess between the electrical and tearing more holes in the wall, and the mess I made with the drywall trying to fix those holes. It just was a huge mess, and yesterday, even after 12 hours, I just wasn't sure that I was going to be able to pull it out. I really had thought I might have ruined the whole project, and so this just feels huge to me that we have a closed-in building, the air is in, the air fits. I'm not making any more new holes in this building, and I only have one more piece of drywall to put up and another layer of mudding, and then hopefully we can move forward. So that the rest will be coming in a separate video. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you later.